Here we are. Welcome to episode 3 of my guitar journey. So, this happened in 2010, near the end of the year, after buying my first guitar, which was the Takamine. Decided that I thought I might need a real all-electric guitar. Didn't want to spend the kind of money that I did on the Takamine, so I I was looking. Now back then that we didn't have, you know, the mono prices and the Indios and that's mono price, the Donners and the Ivies and the like. Those weren't there. So it was either big name brands, like when you went to the guitar store, all the Gibsons and Epiphones and Fenders, Gretches, which were the big money again, or look at these Chinese sellers. Saw some on eBay, found a site. I can't remember where I bought this from. Might have been something like DH Gate back then. I wasn't familiar with an AliExpress, so I don't know if they were even alive in 2010. Anyway, so being a neophyte at the time, I thought I'm going to get an electric guitar. Now, when I was buying the Takamine, I ventured across the house to the electric side just to take a look. So I pulled down an Epiphone, and one of the guys says, "You want to plug it in?" And I go, "Sure." So he plugged it into a little amp for me, and so I strummed it, and I go, "Yeah, that sounds pretty good." He says, "Okay, so wait." So he pulls down a Gibson Studio. Looks the same, worn cherry. He says, "Okay, try this one." So I plug it in, and I go, "Oh," I said, "brighter, richer sound on those pickups, eh?" He says, "Yep." He says, "and the difference in price is not that much." So I thought, okay, in my head, back to the other side of the house, ordered my Takamine, and I left. Well, that was still in the back of my mind, right? So I thought, all right, I need an electric guitar, and what was in my head was a Les Paul style. Just out of the blue, right? So I started looking, and I found a Les Paul on a Chinese seller's website for like $230 Canadian, and for $80 more, they throw in a case, hard case. So okay, throw in the $80 more, get a hard case. So there's my investment. It's less than half of the Takamine, and I waited 2 months for it to come, and finally it came. It looks like that. A little bit darker than the pictures that I saw, but I kind of liked it in this color, just like that. Now, you notice the pickups are not the same, but we're going to get to that. So I get this guitar, I open the case, they put it in the case to ship it to me. So I get this guitar, and I take it out, and I'm going, oh, black knobs, and I touch one, and it comes right off in my hand, and the splines inside are broken, they're smashed. I'm thinking, the case is not smashed. That must have been smashed before they put it in the case, obviously. Alright, so I said, oh well, I was disappointed in that. So I thought, alright, so I tried to tune it. I get up to here, and as I turn it, the tuning key comes right off in my hand. I'm going, oh my God. And then I look, and I'm going, the Clouson style vintage tuners, and it just basically broke right out. And so I turned a couple of the other ones, and they were all wonky, and I was able to pull them out too. I'm going, no tuners and a broken knob. I'm going, oh man. So I sent a message to China, and the guy says, what do you want me to do? I said, well, what can you do? I mean, I need tuners and knobs. I mean, it broke in my hand. Like it was broken before you put it in the case. Okay. So he sends me 2 knobs, no tuners. So I thought, well, I need tuners. So I went down to my local Long and McQuaid here in Ontario, and I told the guy, I said, I need a set of tuners, the Cluson style, that will fit a Les Paul style CHIBSON guitar. He says, well, I can get you Grover Deluxes. I said, are they good? He goes, yes. So I got a set of Grover Deluxes, just like that. So they've been on there since 2010. They are good. Nice cases. They're somewhere around a 1 to 14, 1 to 15 ratio, I think. A little bit coarser than some of the newer things in the 1 to 18s, 1 to 21s that are really smooth, but they do the job. And I've never had to lubricate them, ever. I never even thought of lubricating them back then. I knew nothing about guitars. I didn't know about, the unpolished frets. I didn't know about uneven frets. I didn't know about plastic nuts. Yeah, it wasn't until later, in my experience of building the 3 Telecasters, mostly from GFS parts, that I started to learn about, fret leveling, polishing, crowning, nut types, pickups. And so this was in the case, right? I didn't like the pickups that came in it. They sounded muddy. They were microphonic. I was very upset with this whole guitar. It turned me right off of Les Pauls. I put it in the case and I put it aside, and I thought, why does it not sound like I want it to sound like the music I like? So I went and did some research, and I found out that most of the time the guys that were playing the music I like were on Stratocasters. So I'm thinking I probably need a Stratocaster, and that will come up in episode 4. In the meantime, this thing has been in the case for a while. So post getting the Stratocaster and using that, and then later building the Tellies, this was still in the case. Alright, so one day I thought I should take this out. Maybe I can change the pickups in this thing, now that I have some experience under my belt and a little bit of knowledge and learning, just enough to be dangerous. So I was on Stuart McDonald's site, and they were offering golden age pickups. They had a little sound clip for them. They sounded, warm and creamy. You can't really tell because back then I didn't really have good studio speakers or anything. But I thought, okay, I'll order those. A little pricey from Stuart McDonald, as you know, for anybody who's been on the Stuart McDonald site or bought from them. So I get them, and I put them in, and I'm thinking, okay, they're not microphonic, but they still sound too dark. Too dark. I never thought of measuring pickups back then, but they just sounded muddy and dark, and I'm thinking, okay, another disappointment. Number 1, back in the case, back in the corner. Some time goes by, and after my experience with Guitar Fetish, I thought, okay, I got an email from them, one of their sales, May, whatever that was, in May 2021. No, it wasn't May 2021. This is before that. Let me back up. It was a sale, a clearance sale, and they were selling humbuckers, a zebra, which I had kind of fallen in love with the look of zebras over the time, and I thought, okay, zebras, no name brand, were built for a big name brand, but order got canceled. We picked them up, blah blah blah. 29 bucks, you get the set, overwound, hot overwound. All right, ordered them. Back then, the difference in money between Canada and the United States wasn't that bad, and shipping from they were in Boston at the time. Now they're in Sarasota, Florida. It's worse. It wasn't that bad, so I thought, okay, 29 bucks. It was like, $15, $20 to ship it. I thought, all right, I'll make that investment. So I waited, got it, put them in. You know, I didn't really like them. They were better than the Golden Agers by some measure, different, but they didn't please me that much in this guitar. Okay, well, during that journey of doing those things, I had already replaced the electrics in here anyway. I had already replaced the tuners. I had left the switch. The switch is good. From the early, you know, nice and taut. Switches was one of the good things. See the pick guard still on there. I usually don't do that these days, but this one is still there. I had it off at one point, and I thought, yeah, it looks okay on there, and it was in the case anyway, so what did I care about? New knobs. So the body looks good, you know. Still matte. There was a tiny problem right here, where there was a screw in that piece of plastic, but no wood under it to screw it into. So I filled it in and just colored it black. The neck has gotten a little bit of shine on it because of you know, my hand movement on it, but the rest of the body basically is the way it was when I received it. Still pristine. It's a hunk of mahogany. As it sits now, it's 7.8 pounds, and I don't think that's really changed much. Maybe by a few ounces because I have real metal tuners on there. So anyway, back to the pickups. So I hated them, put them back in the case. A little while later goes on, 2021, more experience under my belt, a little bit more learning to play stuff, some instrumentals that I learned to play. Okay. And a sale comes up again, and it's a bigger discount, like 15 or 20% off with a code, May 2021. And so I wanted to buy a set of these, what they call GFS Retrotrons. I'd seen these on Gretches. They're chimey, you know, as like a Filtertron type of pickup. So that's what they look like, and I thought, maybe. So they had a few types. They had the Nashvilles, a vintage, hot, super hot. They had something called Liverpools, again, basic and hot overwound, and Memphis, basic and overwound, hot. So they had sound clips as well on their site. Where's my mouse? I have this queued up. So I wanted a set of Nashvilles, but they didn't have all the Nashvilles in stock at the time. They had only one. They had the bridge. So Nashville Vintage Filtertron Style. And I listened to this MP3 for the bridge clean, and it sounded like this. Okay, so I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. If only I could get the neck as well, but not to be. So I thought, well, let me listen to a couple of the other ones. So I listened to the other ones, and I thought the Memphis sounded the closest to what I thought I wanted to have as a neck pickup. So it's the Memphis Alnico 2. They call it the Rickenbacker Tone Vintage. Jangle pickup. So I thought, okay, let me see what that sounds like. And here we go. The Memphis neck. Where's the neck? Where's the neck? Where's the neck? Clean. There it is. Quite a bit lower, but at the time I didn't realize it. So I bought the Memphis Alnico 2 because I figured jangles All right. Let's see what happens. So I bought them, put them in here. They're still there because this is the last modification I've done to the guitar, is put them in. Oh, sometime before that, when I was buying roller bridges for the other guitars that I had, I bought an extra roller bridge to put on this one just because I was putting it on all the LP styles that I got. And that started with one of the next guitars coming way down the chain would be the IYV. So here we are, full up on this with the Nashville bridge. And we're going to start off with my standard 65 deluxe reverb with no effects. That sounds a lot like the clip, right? So kind of happy with that. There's some brightness to that, articulation. The neck. Again, articulation, but it is lower, just like the clip was. And I found out the reason why. The reason why is because this Alnico 2 is only measuring 4.2K, so it's very underwound. The bridge here, the basic one, right, this is the basic vintage, is 8.6K. So 8.6 and 4.2, a little bit of an off balance in here. Would have been nicer if this was at least 6 or 7, but it's not bad. With that, you can basically add stuff and it'll work. And it's bright. Brighter than what I had experienced with the originals, the Golden Agers, and the unknown name brand Zebras. The middle. Now the middle drops to 2.84. Okay, because it's got to be lower than that one. And it doesn't really sound that much lower than the bridge alone, the neck alone, and a whole lot of not really sounding that much different, except that you get a little bit of the bridge gnarly at the bottom end there, at the high end. All right, so I went and put those in there, and now I have a lot of experience with, you know, fretwork, straighten of the neck. I bought, you know, tools to be able to do stuff like that. I'm thinking, all right, I need to do something with this guitar, so I did the neck, I did the frets, I did leveling, I did the polishing, and now I have to tell you that this Les Paul became a really usable guitar for the genre of what's in there. And this neck, I've been able to get it so straight. I mean, it's absolutely flat, right? And back in those days, China was putting real rosewood on these guitars. So it's a real rosewood fretboard. The plastic nut is still on it. I never changed it. I never even thought of it. It's the only part, and the tailpiece and the studs in the body, plus this, that, you know, and the switch that I haven't changed. I kept the wood mostly. The bones are really good. You know, the mahogany. The headstock said Gibson, of course, which I blacked out to be, you know, CHIBSON. Don't want to pretend it's a real one, but these tuners have been really great. And now it's okay, you know. The action, look at the action on this thing. I mean, it's about 3/64, somewhere around between, 3/64 and a hair one way or the other, lower. It's unbelievable, and it's absolutely flat. The way they set the neck on this thing allowed me to be able to get it like that. Now, there's not many guitars I can say that about, being able to have a flat on a really flat radius, and it's so easy to play. I don't really have a problem with, here where the meat is not so good on my finger on this one. It's so low, I can actually get the press in there, unlike some of the other ones. I'm really happy with, this first CHIBSON now. It's taken a long time for me to appreciate it, but now it's as good as any of the newer ones that we're getting out of China, Donner, Monoprice, IYV. With all of these things and changes on it, it's become a really nice, usable guitar. I'm glad I never turned it into firewood, because I thought about it a lot back then. I thought, yeah, I should break that thing up. I'm happy I didn't, because now there's at least, another usable guitar in my livery, and it's my first, right? I couldn't fall in love with my first when I got it, but now I love it. And that's the story of the CHIBSON, my first all-electric guitar. Thanks very much for hanging in with me. I appreciate all your support. Catch you in the next one.